Hello again, and welcome back to our interview series. It's round number 4. We have a light at the end of the tunnel regarding lockdown. We are on our way to normality, hopefully, however that may look. But while the lockdown continues, we're going to continue with all the fun social media stuff. So, as I mentioned, here it is, round number 4 of the interview series. And today it's with two people who I consider to be two of my closest friends. They have been involved in the show since the very, very early days for over 12 years now. And we've had so many great times together, so many massive laughs, so many great shows together. And they are Jenny and Victoria Bader Sinclair. Jenny is our choreographer and also manages all of our social media. And Victoria, also known as Sinc, is in charge of all the logistics regarding who and what dancers are on each show. So enjoy this. As I said, it's a lot to take in, so we split it into 2 parts. This is part number 1. Part number 2 will be on the YouTube channel soon, I would imagine. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as all our social media pages for all the updates on upcoming shows as well as more fun social media content. But for now, here's part 1 of my interview with Jenny and Sinc. Enjoy. So here we are, and it is a bit of a special one for me because these two have been with me for almost the entirety of the existence of this show, right from back in the day when it was originally called Jackson Live. Boo, boo. And so I'm expecting this one to be a bit longer, well, a lot longer than the others, but they're here and they've been here since pretty much day one for me. And I'm really looking forward to this. They are our choreographer, our Facebook and all the other social media manager. And then there's the other one next to her called Sinc. No, Sinc's in charge of all of our dancers. She plots who does what and who goes where and wears what. And it's a huge, huge undertaking. So let me just officially say welcome, ladies. Victoria, also known as Sinc. Never ever called you Victoria in your entire life. Many other names, but we might get to some of those later. And the one and only Jenny Bader Sinclair. How are you, ladies?
Good, how are you, Robin?
Not bad, thanks. All right. Looking forward to freedom at some point in the next couple of months with a bit of luck.
Absolutely.
Maybe getting back on a stage. Who knows? Who knows? Bookings are coming in, by the way. Bookings are coming in. I will send you over some stuff to start doing your bits and pieces for. But yes, it's looking positive now, hopefully.
Perfect. That's good. That's really good.
A light at the end of the tunnel.
There is finally a long old tunnel. I started going back the other way for a bit. So
Got a bit lost there for a minute.
I thought I liked it before. I liked it before the tunnel. I think I'll go back. Got in my DeLorean. It was great. So let's talk all things Forever Jackson, and let's start from the start then. So how did we meet?
Shall I start?
If you want.
Okay, so this is my version of the story. There might be 3 different versions of the story, but
almost definitely.
Back in the day, in our later teens, early 20s, later teens more like, really, we used to go out to Jumping Jacks, which was the place to go in Harlow.
I think I've heard of that place.
So. Heard of it. Robin happened to be, what's your official title there?
Knobhead. No, I mean, I was the entertainment manager, but I'd quite often do a lot of the DJing and hosting and all of that stuff.
Yeah. So I don't know
quite of the place, I think.
Yeah, I don't know quite how it got to that point, but we kind of knew of each other at that point.
Yeah, I think from my understanding, from my memory, you used to come down, especially on a Sunday night, which was our alternative night. So it was right more up your lovely Essex street. A bit more garage and R&B and hip hop and 90s dance and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I definitely knew you from a distance, but never actually had spoken to you. I knew you just as the fellow DJ.
DJ. From a distance makes me sound like I was famous or so. I can't go near him. Oh.
Because the DJ box was raised up, you were like up high.
Yeah.
Like, no one could touch you or reach you.
Which is a good thing, because I used to upset customers on a regular basis, either over a microphone or just to their faces. So
Yeah,
we knew. So we used to be there Wednesday nights, Thursday nights,
Friday
Friday
nights,
Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So we knew
Sounds
you.
like Craig David's song.
Yeah. I mean, the only night we weren't there was when you weren't open, which was like a Monday.
But you queued anyway.
But we were there. Yeah, we were there. Yeah.
So
but yeah, so we didn't actually know. I didn't actually know you. I just knew of you.
Knew your name, knew of you, knew you've sung, knew you did this. You did MJ, didn't you?
I probably did a bit there, not on a not too regularly, but I certainly. I mean, before all of this show existed, certainly I would regularly, with the Jumping Jacks crew, get up on the stage in some real half-assed costume and sometimes some appalling makeup, even worse than what I first started when we first started this show.
I need
please
pictures.
find a photo. Please.
Well, I may well have found a few photos for later. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. So, certainly. I remember you girls would get up and dance on the stage on a Sunday night. In a good way. In a good way. I mean, I can't remember it being horrific. Put it that way. So, you and quite a few of the troupe, if you like, would come down.
Yeah. Used to have quite a lot of us go out all the time.
It was great. It was a great period of our lives, really.
It was a great period of our lives.
Yeah, it was. I'll second that.
Jack's was great. It was such a good place. I loved it. It was the place to go. And it's a shame there's nothing like that now. I mean, I couldn't be bothered to go, if I'm honest.
More energy then.
But you know, I feel sorry for the youngsters that were.
No, they've got nothing. Oh, let's all go Yates. Oh, excited Weatherspoons. Oh, you poor bastards.
No, they'll never know Jumping Jacks.
I know. I mean, or just high street nightclubs and things in general. Yeah. There's just nothing like that. You used to, I mean, Harlow's not a big place. It's a small town, but you had at least 3 nightclubs to go to.
Yeah, it would be the walk from one to the other.
And they'd all be packed.
Yeah,
they'd all be packed. You'd have to queue to get in, like on a bank holiday. I remember we used to queue from our door right the way down to Virgin Megastore and then all the way down the high street. And it'd be 1 in, 1 out by we'd open at 7 and it'd be 1 in, 1 out by 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Mad.
But it was good times.
Nothing like it anymore.
But a really random connection from that. I think, obviously, we knew of you. I got in touch with you to see if you would come on board as a singer, I think, at one point.
Yes.
Our touring show, which your diary clashed with our diary for gigs, and that didn't work out. But I think from that point, we probably had each other's contact details. I believe that's
you. Yeah, I remember sitting down with you for a coffee somewhere in Harlow, and you talking about the show, and it was touring around, wasn't it? And I think because of my position at Jack's, there was no way I was going to be able to step out that often. I think I was still at Jack's at that time, because I think, didn't Lindsay introduce us?
Oh, we might have known each other through Lindsay.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I think from an actual sit-down point, obviously I used to see you girls regularly down at Jack's, but I think Lindsay Cook, I believe, from memory, if she's watching, hi, been a while. Hope you're good. And she introduced us for a sit-down, either Lindsay or possibly Sean, maybe as well. It might have been Sean.
That sort of group, but someone
who was certainly one of the Jack's crew, who was also in with your lot and you guys introduced us. And I remember that now. You asking if I'd come on and sing on the show. What was the show again?
It was Hip Hop Pop, the Battle. So it was one of the first, very, very first for kids street dance touring shows that there was. Did all right, but it's short lived, but it was fun. But it was, obviously we didn't get to work with you at that point, but we did down the line. It's crazy how it works out.
That's right. So I remember I had started creating this show. This was back in 2008. And I had guys dancing at the time. I had 3 or 4, I think it was 3 guys that were learning the show. And by learning, I had somebody choreographing it. And then at the weekends, I think normally a Saturday for a few hours, we'd start learning it. And I'd always had in my mind that I wanted to bring some girls in as well, so that it was a bit more mixed up. Now, because I honestly hand on heart, cannot remember how it got round to me actually giving you a call. I don't remember how or getting in touch. Can you remember?
All I remember is you telling me about the show. You calling me and telling me about the show, and that you had boy dancers. You wanted to audition some girls. Did I know any?
So I didn't even ask you to audition. I was like, "Do you know
No.
any girls?" Not you.
No, not like that.
Not you.
So there was 5 of us that went down. It was me and you. Obviously, we always do everything from the start, don't we? Me and you, Kim, Stacey, and was it
Karen.
I think Karen came, but she didn't dance because she was on crutches.
Yeah, she broke. That's when she broke her foot.
I feel like Claire Bell Chambers was around then as well.
Yeah, maybe Claire.
Yeah, basically, some of those guys still dance with us now, not necessarily with Jack, but yeah, they're long
and
timers.
that's how I got involved, because you called me up and said, "Would you like to go and audition?" And then we came and we met you.
Well, I remember you coming down, and I wasn't sat in on the audition purposefully. I left it to a good dear friend of mine, David Earnshaw, who was running a little theatre, probably still does, in Barnet, called the Bull Theatre. So I got you girls to come down there. I, at the time, was still doing a rehearsal with the guys, and you did an audition with David. Like, I think he ran some bits, and I remember him.
It was your female choreographer. I can't think of her name.
Was it Siobhan or Yvonne? Yvonne or Siobhan, something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a long, again, it's a long time. We're talking 12 years plus now, back in 2008. So end of 2008 this was. So you're talking, God, just over 12 years now. 12 and a bit years. So, but I remember I was doing that, and I remember David coming over immediately after after your audition, and saying, yeah, they're excellent. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, and I think I spoke to you briefly afterwards, and I said, do you want to take a song away? Because I know you choreograph. Do you want to take a song away and just come up with something for it? And I'll see you next week and we'll have a look. And at this, I remember going through quite a lot of trouble with the way I was doing it originally, because we do these auditions. So we were doing these rehearsals, and Siobhan was fantastic and proper pro and having everything planned, but the guys were a bit flaky. I'm not going to name any names, but they were always turning up late or not at all, and you'd just be like getting nowhere with this. And I felt really bad for Siobhan, because she was like doing it at mates rates, and taking time out of her weekend. She's got family. And I remember you coming down after I told you. The following week you came down with this routine, and what we were doing in about 3 or 4 hours, you'd clearly done in about 20 minutes, like, and nailed it and looked amazing and everybody on point. And I was just like, oh, well, now this is a no-brainer. Well, the weakest link, goodbye. Genuine.
I remember dancing on a showcase with one of them.
Once. Oh yeah, you did a showcase with one.
Yeah, only one song or something. We did, I think.
Okay.
Promo.
Was that the first showcase we did?
It was at the Bull Theatre. It was at the
Bull Theatre. Okay. So it wasn't the first Keeping It Live.
No, that was.
We did do that though, but that wasn't with the boys.
We did do a Keeping It Live, because that's still a very fond memory of mine. So in fact, let's talk about it, because that kind of was the real launch of this show. So we'd done Keeping It Live almost to the day a year before, so November 2008, and it was me and 3 of the guys, and we had gone out. You do, in a showcase, anybody who doesn't know, a showcase, you've got an audience of agents and venues, and they're watching act after act after act. Each act will do a maximum of 10 minutes, and they'll do like 20-30 acts in an afternoon and 20-30 acts in the evening, and this goes on for 3 or 4 days. So the audience are not, more often than not, pretty flat and don't really care, because they've seen it all before, and they're just getting some ideas for what they're going to put in their schedule, if you like, for next year, or who they're going to promote. And so we'd done this 2008, me and the guys, and we did it, and we weren't really ready as a show. I mean, I was pretty back then as Michael Jackson. Like the makeup, and again, I'll hopefully will show some pictures later. The makeup was arse. It was really bad. Like, and I was just quite shouty as a singer. Um, and the costuming was okay, nothing special. Certainly for the guys, it was pretty nothing special. It was okay. So we didn't really make much of an impact. And I think off the back of that, we did a few shows. Michael Jackson then passed away. This is now 2009. We're in. And we did a few shows. Got to June. Michael Jackson passed away, and I thought that's the end of it. But that just launched it. I was getting phone calls from the next morning, like literally the morning after he died. People saying, "Can you come and do a show?"
Yeah.
And by this point, you girls were fully involved, and the full-time dancers. So I remember us doing a number of shows in 2020 and fine-tuning things. And we had a bit of input from David as well on things like costuming and stuff like that. Because I'd got him to watch the show and give us some constructive criticism. And it was great. The stuff that he said, it really helped, made a difference. And so we'd done a few shows, we'd filmed everything, and we'd sit down and look at it like individually and pick out what was good and what was rubbish and what we needed to fix. So then cut to 12 months later from that original showcase in November 2008, and now it's you girls on the showcase 2009 November. And it was for the girls that were on it, and I think off the top of my head, I know Harley was there.
Yep.
I think, were you both there? I think one of you wasn't.
No, I don't think I was there.
It was Harley and Cora.
Yes.
Bev.
That's it, Bev and yourself. And I remember like speaking to you girls because you hadn't really had much experience from a showcase point of view. From that kind of showcase, certainly.
An agent
and
showcase.
I remember we're at the side of the stage, and I remember sort of saying to you, look, the audience, they're going to be a bit flat because we're like now the fourth session in. It's like the middle evening, which is always the best one to do because all the agents and venues live it up a bit more. They'll have a few drinks and they're more up for it because it's the last night, if you like. Never do the last day because it's the flattest audience you'll ever perform for. And it was, and I remember standing there at the side of the stage and saying, look, they're going to be a bit flat. They're not massive. They don't go for it, but you've got to perform like it's 1 minute to 12 on New Year's Eve, like as if it's the greatest night ever or whatever. And we went out, and I remember, and I've never seen it since personally. I'm sure it's happened multiple times, but I've never experienced it since. An audience at a showcase give you a standing ovation. And we came off, and I remember some of you girls going, you were just kidding, weren't you? I went, no, I've never seen that. I don't know what just happened. And I remember speaking to Ray, who's one of our main agents, still is today, one of my main agents, like a really great guy. I remember speaking to Ray and him saying, because he wanted to see me immediately afterwards, and he said, do you know, before you'd finished that 10 minutes, I'd taken 7 bookings for you already. I was like, oh, all right. And he went, I'm on this now. I'm properly on this now. And we did, off the back of that showcase, we did something like 130 shows in that following year. It was massive. It was huge for us. Yeah. So, and it was just great that you girls were part of it from that point. Like, and it was obviously clearly made a difference having you girls there because you were better dancers. You were more in sync. You looked better. So, yeah, it was great. And I've been grateful ever since.
It's been a good marriage the whole time, really, hasn't it? We've
really,
had a lot.
Really has. I can't remember ever having a fallout, like nothing major. Might be the odd moment where we're a bit like, don't like that much. But
never had a proper
never fell out.
Fallout. No, and really, that's bloody good, really, because friends and work don't always mix. So
no, of course not. But I think it's because we understand each other quite well. I think there's a very good understanding between the three of us. We know what we all want, and we all want the same thing realistically. It's just
Yeah.
it's just where that line is sometimes. Like, no, you can't just go out wearing a thimble for that song. You've got to put on a hat as well. Okay. So there's things like that. So do you remember much about our very first actual show together?
Yeah, it was
the
Arsie,
FC.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember the journey being horrific because the sat nav took us down like a dirt forest road, and we
With a
couldn't
big
get through.
gate.
It had a gate with a chain on it, and we had to undo the chain and get through. I mean, we weren't meant to go through.
There's a
there,
photograph of that, and me trying to in the mud pull this big gate
trying to pull this gate open. We got there eventually, but that's what I remember. But
I remember being there, and it was obviously being the first show, we wanted to be really prepared, and we literally run the whole show. Maybe I don't know if you did it with us, but as dancers, we run the whole show twice before the show.
And this was back in the day where there wasn't a breather really between the dances. It was there was more.
Well, this was before. Was this before dance breaks?
Yeah,
no,
there was still dance breaks, but they were solo.
Yeah, because it was only two dancers.
We've had two stages of dance breaks. The first one was where there was no break, so we'd do everything together, which was at the beginning, but we was young and fit, so that's fine. And then the second stage was the solos.
Yeah.
But that's changed.
Yeah.
I think we found a happy medium with the solos.
I remember it being a really good crowd there. I remember it being packed.
It was.
It was great. That the response was amazing. And we had the tiny little dressing room. I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, Arsie Football Club was a place that I used to do very regularly as a solo singer, just doing cover songs. And I had quite a nice following there. Like anytime I was there, it'd be a really good crowd. Mostly because one of the things I would do in my normal set was a bit of Michael Jackson. So when we announced I'm bringing my brand new Michael Jackson show, premiering it, like literally this is the first gig we'd ever done here, place went off its nut. They were like, oh my God, we can't sell enough we can't like find enough seats and tickets to make this happen. Wow. So it was packed in there.
Standing room only, wasn't it? Standing room only.
Yeah, and it was on. It's like it's basically a social club, but you have like a sort of a rent room, if you like, a room you can rent for events and things, or parties, weddings, stuff like that. So it was in that room, not a huge room, certainly not compared to some of the things that we've done over the years. But it was a nice atmosphere in there, sweaty as hell. I remember it being boiling, and like you said, the changing room was like literally a shoebox. So we were literally like elbowing each other in the face on every single costume change.
That's definitely up there with the favourites, because I'm sure we'll get into what our favourite gigs are later. And don't get me wrong, you can think of big events, but actually there's a small handful of those really small events that are actually better. The best ones. Because
absolutely,
it's not the quantity of people, it's the quality of how much they get involved.
Yeah, it always is. I've said that for years. It's always, you could have 10 people or 10 million. If those 10 people are really up for it, it's fine. They could be better than those 10 millions. If the 10 million don't care, whatever. I mean, if 10 million people come to watch it and you don't care, there's something wrong with your act. Really, really wrong. But yeah, I totally agree. I remember it being, like I said, Pat, I remember we had two technicians. I used to have one on sound and one on lights back then. And I'm pretty sure Joseph was doing lights, Joseph Earnshaw. And I'm pretty sure David Earnshaw came along just to help out as well that day. And then, and I'm trying to think, there was a guy doing sound and I can't remember off the top of my head. I can picture him, but I can't remember. He was a really lovely guy. He lives in Thailand now, I think. But yeah, it was a really, really fun thing. And I remember getting loads of great feedback off it. And it was, but it was dark in there because it was just whatever lights we bought. So they were good times.
Yeah, it was a good one. I enjoyed that.
So let's see. You told us about how you first got involved, obviously. Now, one of the key things that we have always had to be we've had to talk about quite a lot is costuming, obviously, because in the early days, you girls tended to provide most of the costuming. In the very early days, you'd wear sort of things. Oh, it would obviously be routined and formatted around like each song. but it was more based around sort of what you girls were comfortable in. I remember when, like I said, David Earnshaw came and watched our first Playhouse show. That was cringy. Do you remember when we watched that back a few years ago? People paid money to watch that. People paid money. Oh my God. And
Oh my God, I don't ever want to see it again.
well, it's still in a case in a DVD, and it needs to be thrown to the bottom of the ocean somewhere. It's, because there's some bad voodoo on that DVD. But I remember him watching and saying we need to do things with the costuming. So over the years, obviously costuming's changed more and more, and we've made it bigger and better, and sometimes more elaborate, more specific. Has there ever been moments where costuming has been an issue, where things have come in and you've been like, no, thank you, we can't do that?
I mean, because a lot of them did, like the opening outfit was very different. It was a bit like
before you go into it, Vic, just getting people that are listening a perspective of the difference. So obviously what we're doing is very show, very has to be not glitzy, but it has to wow. Whereas what we're used to as a dance company is much more free and relaxed.
It's more of a street look, obviously.
And there's nothing wrong with changing that, but it is a change of culture for us. So carry on.
So more sometimes the outfits are a bit more fitted than we would usually.
Yeah. I remember the great conversation of leggings.
Yeah. Oh, that's the door.
That's the door. You carry on. I'm gonna go get the door.
Okay.
You're not gonna get it out because I'm too chunky. So yeah, see, I told you. So yeah, costume wise, I don't remember there being actually any issues. I think for someone like Jen, I think she really struggled with leggings because she's not used to wearing anything like that, especially when they were covered in silver sequins, which we still have to this day. But they used to be silver, now they're black. They're a little bit more subtle.
Yeah.
But I don't remember any massive issues because I think we worked together really well to try and find a happy medium that was very showy, but also was comfortable for people. And I think did quite a good job trying to find that middle balance, trying to keep everybody happy. I think that we got there quite well in the end. It was a lot of trial and error. We've had quite a few different costumes, and I'm sure they'll change over time with times as well.
The thing that's always been important for me is that comfort's a big thing, because if you're not comfortable on stage, you're not going to be able to do what you need to do. You need to have your freedom so that things fit in a way so that it shows. Because the key thing that was brought to my attention in the early days is we're losing a lot of the choreography because what we were wearing was so baggy and sort of a lot of it was quite dark coloured as well. So we were losing some of the quality of the stuff that you girls were doing. So when we then went and met up with Jackie Hobson, do you remember Jackie?
Yeah, I remember Jackie.
And Jackie came up with some ideas and we worked on some things. And I remember immediately watching the footage back in those first costumes after that Jackie designed for us and thinking, oh my God, it looks so much better. This looks more like a proper show now, proper pro show. And it made such a big difference.
I remember getting the photo from you because I think you'd gone for a fitting or something with the opening outfit, and then you sent a photo to everyone. And although it was something completely different to what we were used to, leggings and shorts and this massive padded jacket, it looked so cool for the show. Like it suited the show. Who
remembers this then? Do you remember the mask?
Oh, the mask!
I
forgot about the mask. I saw this picture.
I like the mask.
Yeah, and I used to feel like, because sometimes you do feel a little bit vulnerable on stage. I used to like the mask. I felt like nobody could see me. I could just dance for me.
Yeah. The masks was we had makeup on underneath and it would take it off. So then we'd struggle for the next. We couldn't do anything too drastic underneath when we took them off. Whereas now,
I remember that I'd forgotten all about that. I mean, look in that picture. Look how serious Jen is. Jen's like, I'm going to mess someone up. Someone's getting cut in a minute. So.
Yeah. That is a solid pose.
I'd like to be that size again. Can we just rewind?
Robin, can we appreciate your outfit for a minute?
Yeah, I know. And I mean, bearing in mind that's what Michael Jackson kind of
I
wore. It was
know.
a much cheaper version. I think his was like Versace or something like that. But that was that costume used to stink because you couldn't wash it.
You
All
know,
the colour would come off.
I was just gonna say, is it bad that I can still smell that costume? I can still imagine picking that up and smell it. I
That
can
costume
imagine.
was so stinky. I used to turn it inside out and like wipe it down, but that's as good as it gets. You couldn't do anything else with it. Couldn't stick it in couldn't take it to a dry cleaner either because it said dry clean only. But I remember getting it done once and it coming back and missing half of the gold. There was just like this yellowy orange color underneath and thinking,
Oh my
oh,
God, that reminds me of a time we went to South Africa and we had them shirts made with that same material.
yes, yes.
And they washed all of our costumes, and we didn't even think about it, did we? But they just took everything and washed it, and we got it back, and all the silver had come off.
Just brown, like a grey brown. It's like, oh, that's
we was
different.
pooing ourselves. We were all in the dressing room going, "You tell Robin, no, you tell Robin."
Because we hadn't had them that long either. That was a new adaptation. Because in the picture you can see there's like the sequin arms, but then we got a more of a fitted arm put on by that was Sean's mum, Geraldine Samuels, who does a lot of our costuming now when we need it done. And she put on those new arms, and I remember thinking that looks well cool because it's like really fitted sleeve, a bit like a Terminator sort of thing. Then we washed it. It got washed in South Africa, and it's like, oh well, that was nice while it lasted. Now it just looks like now it looks like someone's got a really like council estate style kind of like legging on their arm. It's like, that's nice bit of brown lycra, excellent. Never mind.
To be fair, those jackets, we've still got those jackets, and they were made well. Like they're still.
They've had alterations over the years. I think the shoulders have changed since then, because that's that nice sort of holographic sequin stuff going on there.
What have we got now?
I tell you what. While we're looking at photos, let's have a look at some other ones. Wait, let me stop that for a second. Let me see if.
Gosh.
We were talking about early makeup days, early makeup days.
Oh my God! Well, we didn't
have a look at that. Is that shown up all right?
Not yet.
Okay, hang on a minute. Let me close that instead. Then wait a minute.
There you go. I remember this gig.
Look at that. I know it's a bit blurry, but look, this was pre brand new costumes, the original set of costumes that we got.
Wow.
Look at the ties. Look how the ties are done. Like they're literally hanging.
Like, we've got jeans on.
You've got jeans on. It's smooth criminal, but it's casual criminal. So
Jenny's even got a wristband on. Look at you around.
I am.
You're right.
Bandana.
You got a little bandana around you, you cool little dude.
But I do remember that being that was a funny gig actually, if you remember rightly. We went to the venue, and as dancers, at this point we'd already done quite a fair few gigs, so we knew the show. We literally got up on stage when you were singing and blocked out in miniature style the steps, just so we knew where we was going. And it was in our heads. We didn't dance it in any way, and it wasn't meant to be.
Because it was a sound check. We weren't there for that. We were just there to sort of.
And I remember some kind of conversation with the bloke who ran it, and afterwards, bless him, he was really complimentary about the dancers, which was lovely. But he said, I did think that you guys were shit in the rehearsal because we weren't.
It was like, no, we were just blocking where we're to stand.
Because I got that gig for a friend of mine called Nikki Roche back at the time. I think she's married. I'm not sure what her married name is. But she was somebody who I knew from a few years ago. And she was working, I don't know what she was doing. I think she was an assistant manager there. And she said, do you want to come and do a gig? I think it might have been a Halloween gig, you know?
It was a Halloween
2 nights.
She
2 nights, that's right. Because didn't we stay at hers or near hers?
It was
a hotel, yeah. I do also remember,
which was definitely haunted.
On the way up there, you had your Renault.
I don't remember that.
You had your Renault Clio.
Oh my God!
Right, and there was 4 of us and all the
remember that.
An overnight thing, and Torquay is hilly like this.
God. Robin, we nearly died.
I didn't know if we'd make it up.
We we were going up this hill and I was driving and we were so like this, like I was like that on the steering wheel and we were all just like and the car was
Expecting
like,
the car to topple over backwards.
honestly, that's how it felt. Like we were just all just leaning forward, trying to help the car.
Willing it. Everybody like this at the same time. Go in the rhythm. 1 and a 2.
God, that was so bad. I remember that. Well remembered.
Yeah, it's funny. We've had such funny times, mate.
We used to always. I was going to say we always cramming in cars when it was tours. Yeah. And I remember when I had my, I don't want to boast, but my Skoda Octavia estate, all right. I got some dollar, so. And we used to all cram in that, and then everything in the boot as well. And we're talking 5 sets of costumes, not for one show, but for like sometimes 7, 8, 9 shows in a row or more. And then all the overnight stuff for like a week and a half. And this was before merchandise days, but eventually you'd have merchandise in there as well. And then elements of equipment like microphones, wind machine, UV lights. And it would literally be up to the roof, like literally practically pouring over you girls in the back. And there'd be 3 of you squished in the back with your food bags in between your legs like that. And then somebody else in the front, whoever was lucky enough to get the front seat.
Robin, that car journey has just reminded me of being crammed in the back of another car journey when we drove from
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know the car journey. It wasn't in the UK, that's for sure.
we drove from
France to Spain.
The
other way round.
France to Spain in a car with suitcases on our laps.
Jen was in the front with her boyfriend.
Oh my God.
And some random guy next to me.
A total stranger. You didn't speak a word of English.
We had a case and it was just making this noise the whole time. Like it was like 4 hours or something. It was like and me and Robin were behind this case because we couldn't see out the car because we had the case in front of us and we were just laughing and crying.
Laughing and crying so hard because Jen would be like chatting up the guy at the front, just being typical friendly, nice Jen, making conversation, and literally it'd be like, "Oh, Jen's getting on all right, isn't she?" Like, and then it'd be like, "What do you think?" He'd be like, no answer because he didn't understand a word, and just wetting ourselves.
I think the whole situation was just totally, we just didn't expect it to be happening.
I remember getting a bit frustrated with the pair of you, just laughing that whole time.
That's what made it funnier. That's what made it funny because you were getting more and more annoyed with us, and we just thought, this is great, this is hilarious. We've got to do this for 4 hours. This is brilliant.
And we were so tired as well because we'd got to the hotel to have a shower, and that's really the only time we had. So we hadn't even slept.
Yeah.
So we were traveling to the next gig, and we hadn't slept, and we were in pain from this suitcase on our legs. But the suitcase kept making a funny noise, so then we were
Wasn't we doing a show that night as well? That following night. That's why we were going over there now. Like, Before we get too ahead of ourselves, we'll definitely come back to that because I want to say some things because we will talk about what is still known as, within Forever Jackson annals of history, the greatest tour of all time.
Yes.
We will come to that shortly. But let's get back to a little bit more about you guys. And let's talk a bit about what got you into dancing in the first place, because it's been, for as long as I've known you, your entire world, both in and out of work, because you are 2 of the hardest working people I know in the whole world. I've never phoned you and you've not been working or busy ever, even in 2020. Even in 2020, when everything for the vast majority of people just went, wah, you were still like, right, I'll just get a bit more done. Yeah, can I call you back? I'll call you back. Cool, bye. It was just, it's 24/7 for you girls. So tell us about like what got you into dancing, why it's such a big passion for you, maybe about some of your influences as well.
Okay.
Go on,
Well, you started dancing before me when you was
5.
5.
My next door neighbour, it's a very long story, so I'll cut it short. But my next door neighbour came round with her friend who had learnt this dance routine at a dance class, and I had a massive FOMO and wanted to go and give it a go. So yeah, from 5, I did it as a hobby.
Yeah.
I was doing tennis as well, and then from 16, it became more of a serious hobby / wanting to take it further.
Yeah, and our mums worked together in the dental in Harlow.
Yep.
And your mum had said to my mum, you should take Victoria to a dance class my Jenny goes to. And so she did. I went there with a friend. My friend ended up not staying that long, but I never left, and I've been dancing ever since. Now I remember Jen's a little bit older than me. But much older are you?
3
years.
56.
So she looks okay for 56. But
All
she, yeah, not too bad. But she was just a little bit of a thing again. That's me. I've definitely got a tack, and I've got a beard coming now.
Good for you. I'm glad that's kicked in.
I don't know if you can see it yet, but it's just there. But
I mean, the camera's doing you justice, so you're all right.
I'll send you a photo later.
Brilliant.
I went to the dances. I couldn't talk to Jenny though, because she was older than me and she was really good. So I was just the beginner.
Was it with you and not being able to go near people? I was like, I'm shy. I can't talk to the DJ. I'm shy.
Can't talk to Jenny. So that's how it all happened, really. That's how we got into dancing.
Strange, isn't it?
I suppose inspiration wise, it was actually Michael Jackson. My brother was a massive Michael Jackson fan, and so it was Michael Jackson, but also Britney Spears.
See, I was more of a Janet. Sorry, Robin. I was more
Yeah,
Janet.
That's fine, Janet. I knew Janet was a big one for you because we've spoken about that a few times over the years.
Yeah.
So you've got, I think you and I both have very similar tastes when it comes to what's good about Janet and what's not good. So
Yeah, old school Janet, 90s Janet, 80s Janet.
Absolutely.
But that's how we got into it. Because I started loads of things when I was a kid, loads of different clubs, and I never stuck at any of them. But went to dancing, and I never left. So I've never stopped dancing since. And I think I started later.
Please tell us about what some of these other classes that you tried and did were.
I tried karate.
Amazing. Okay.
Yep. I tried. I had a violin class once.
Just one.
This was also for my funny story, so I'll save it.
Right.
Violin. I think I started a bit of football, just like normal kiddie stuff that you would just join in with. Like your mums would send you to a little club, but nothing completely out of there. I mean, karate was all right. I think
You're a bit hard. You are a bit hard. You're not so much hard. You're just a bit spicy when you get angry. That's the main thing.
Very spicy.
Just a bit spicy.
all mouth, no action. I've never hit anything in my life. So
not even in karate class.
Not even in karate.
Other than doors, walls, windscreens.
Yeah, I couldn't. I think I'd go to punch something and then just be like, "Oh, sorry." I wouldn't be able to do it. But so going back, dancing. I got into it for about 10, maybe 11. I was, and you were a lot younger. I mean, we've not stopped since, have we?
No.
That's how we started dancing.
I remember regularly coming to pick up Jen from her mum's house for gigs and seeing the beautiful Hall of Fame of Jenny's amazing dance show pictures. I mean, just
throwback.
That's grade A banter on that wall. That's just absolutely amazing pictures.
I don't think it's not all there now, is it? There's only a couple there now, so that's okay.
Really.
That's okay.
At times, I'm disappointed. I'm going to have a word with your dad about that. So
there was some classics on that wall.
It was.
I mean, we're talking like I swear there's you in like an orange costume of some kind.
For the mask, she was a guy in the mask, and she had a full-on orange suit.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the devil outfit that made me laugh the most.
Oh yeah, she played Jerry. You remember Jerry Halliwell did "Look at Me"?
Yeah.
Jenny was the devil. I think in a red outfit.
Slinky.
And,
Slinky. There's hardly anything of this outfit. And
how old were you back then? What we talking?
Oh, like 14, 15.
Oh, awkward times to be wearing slinky outfits.
I think that's half the reason why now I don't like
wear
wearing skin tight stuff. It really put me off back.
Yeah, because you were forced into it.
Yeah, completely rebelled. But
I never got put in outfits like that. Really, I was always put in the
all in ones,
all in one bloody turquoise,
with the knot,
turquoise catsuit with the knot. And
oh, amazing! Well, through hip hop pop's history and its existence, what's been some of the highs and lows so far?
well, Jackson's one because without
what, a low?
yeah, when you know we all do at hip hop, we wouldn't have been doing Jackson if we hadn't got together with all of us together at hip hop pop. So we wouldn't have that closeness of Jackson either. So that's one. The friends we've made and the the people that we've met along the ways are definitely massive highlights. Huge highlights for me are when youngsters join and now they're teenagers and they're all grown up, and you just think like you've witnessed all of that part of their life, and it's incredible, really. And you watch them grow into these little adults, and it's really lovely to see. Lows, it can be very, very stressful.
I mean, there's a lot of I think our ethos is very much about having a family atmosphere and everybody being welcome. So sometimes it's hard because obviously it's a service where you're trying to learn a skill, and there is an element of competition within it because that's just natural. But I think we always try and keep it friendly, and sometimes the politics of trying to keep everybody happy.
You can never keep everybody happy. Like there'll always be a little sort of thing that you've missed, or but everyone's learning, and we try and keep everything as fair as possible. There isn't a favorite, there isn't the one person that always gets the one thing, or we try and share it out, and you can try and get it right as much as you want.
You can't,
but you can't get it right all the time because everyone makes mistakes. It's a learning thing, and we hope that we do that, and we hope that people feel that it's fair.
That's the hard part of running the thing, but I think as long as we continue to feel like we're doing the best we can with every situation, that's all you can do.
You just do the best, try and do the best we can, and I'm proud of what we've done.
I mean, you talk about the family ethos that you have. It does feel like it's a family. I mean, I know I've never been anything part of hip hop pop that isn't Forever Jackson related, at least, but it is a big family vibe. You've got people that have danced with and for you that still do and have been there for like nearly sort of probably close to 15, 20 years, something like that. Some of these people are your close friends that you're even godparents to their children and stuff, like, and that's all come from what initially started out as a dance troupe and then evolved into classes, and then evolved into schools, and then multiple schools, and multiple age groups and abilities, and it's a huge thing. And I've always had such huge admiration for the fact that it's at the heart of it, it's two people running it. It's how many classes do you have now in a normal year? How many schools do you run classes at a weekly basis?
We run at our evening classes. There's 20 a week. In schools, there's 30 a week when it's running normally.
No,
which is so you're talking 50 classes a week, 50 classes all run essentially and put together by just two people. That then obviously you've got a lot of other girls that go and teach these classes, other instructors and things, but essentially at the heart of it, it's you two. So that's a huge undertaking. And then on top of that, bearing in mind, you also put together regularly, at least once a year, there's a show of some kind that is a hip hop pop theatre show, whether it be a showcase, whether it be a production, whatever it is. And then you've got everything going on with Forever Jackson. And there's a couple of other shows that you still do stuff with as well from time to time. So
it's a juggling act.
When it's like obviously not now, but when it's in full swing, there is a few, like before all of this, actually, it was just like
it was almost on the brink of
I don't know how much we
can't do any more.
We can't
ourselves,
do any more. We're literally at the brink of just, never sleeping again. So
well, this is what I mean. Like anytime I've ever phoned you or tried to speak to you, you've always been so busy. It's like, wow, it's a lot. You girls do a lot, a huge amount. So
Just we want to put on and do as much as we can for our members. Really, we want to try and give them as many opportunities as we can. And sometimes that we forget that we don't actually, there is only 7 days in the week and you do have to sleep, so we forget about that. So we have learned, there was a few years there where we put so much in for people which they loved, but we are going to have to take a little bit of a step back because there's only 2 of us, but you know, just to even it out a little bit more.
I mean, it was only the last couple of years we started to delegate out. I say a couple of years. Corinne was with us longer. Sadly, Corinne's no longer on the full-time team, at least. She's just doing bits and bobs with us. But, you know, passing certain activities to a couple of people that we trust, including a couple of teachers and whatever. But it's very hard to let go of your baby. I mean, I don't know how you feel about Forever Jackson, but if you pass the reins to somebody else, how would you?
You know that I've tried bringing in at least once or twice somebody to sort of take my place on shows I'm unavailable for, so that we can keep doing, you know, so that we're not saying no to clients who want us. And we also know how that went. So
It's hard to
difficult. I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't horrific, but it just wasn't our show. It just wasn't the way that we do it. So it is very, very difficult. It's a bit scary to some extent because, like you said, you're putting your baby into somebody else's hands. You know,
you've
worked so hard for.
Yeah, exactly. You've worked so hard and you've worked so many years and put so much blood, sweat, and tears into it. You need that other person. I mean, no one naturally is going to love it as much as you because it's not their original baby, but you'd like them to come in with that initiative. And that's why we, you know, our staff and the people that work for us, you know, we really trust them, and we've passed these things over to them, and we do trust them with it. And you know, they're special to us, aren't they, really, to be taking it on and doing these things. Like, we really appreciate it. But
I think that's where I'm very lucky with Forever Jackson, because at the core of Forever Jackson, I do have 3 or 4 people that are as passionate and involved in it, probably almost as much as myself, maybe not quite as much, but certainly very invested and very, you know, proud and involved in it, like yourselves and obviously Shane and Lee. So if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to do it the way that we do it today. I'd be lost. And I struggle to do everything that I already do, both in and out of Forever Jackson. If I had to then take on, for instance, working out what dancers are going to be on the show, the choreography, the costuming, how the logistics of how they're going to get there and back again, and all of that side of it, my kids wouldn't know me. I'd be like this tiny little bundle in the corner of a room somewhere, rocking forwards about, just like bawling my eyes out here. I'd be like, I can't do it. So
I must admit, I think sometimes I make the job harder for myself because
I'm kidding.
A little bit more of a I just want to make sure everybody's okay, so I try and make sure I make it harder for myself, really.
I think the key thing for you is you love an email. You love an email.
I love an email.
Not a fan of phoning, but you love an email, and one sentence and then another email with the next sentence and then another email with the next sentence.
You know what's happened? It's because I'm writing loads of emails at the same time. I've gone, oh, I need to tell Robin that. And then I carry on. Oh, I need to tell Robin that.
Yeah. And you're like that. I've got one email, essentially what is one email split up over 20. Like that. I'm like, wait, did you say that? Let me just, I'm finding it. I'm trying to, like.
To be fair, it's a brain dump, because when we're working in the office together, you know, I'll go, oh, Vic, can you just, or she'll go, Jen, can you just, and we'll be like, no, email me
because I'm busy.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for emailing, because you have something written, whether it's a text or an email, you have something written. So I guess I'm probably just a bit old school, that I'll do a conversation and then I'll just wrap it up in one email after. So, but I totally get it, because you girls, like you said, we've addressed it. You've got so much stuff going on. It's hard. It's really hard to keep on top of it all. So it must be easy.
I wouldn't change it for the world, though. I would like a little bit more downtime in the mix, but I'll always want to work as hard. I think I'd be bored.
I don't think we'd ever not do it, because I just I just think it's something that you did need to do.
Mhm.
I can't explain it, but yeah, well, I don't think it'll ever change, to be honest. But I think naturally life will go on, and we'll get older, and things will slow down as it goes. But if we can do it for as long as we can, then why not?
Yeah, no, absolutely, because it's a scary thought, and and I'm seeing it sort of as an outsider looking in a little bit, because when we get to a stage where retirement looms, shall we say, God knows, we all sit there praying for the day when we've got all this time to do whatever we want to do. But secretly, when you do get there, you, after a day or two of it, you're like, kind of bored.
What else am
I
I going to
just
do?
Yeah,
want to watch TV the whole time.
yeah.
Like, I want to do something. And then you're like, what shall I go and do? No, no, I can't bother. Like, you just like, and I'm looking at my dad who's worked so hard over the years. Like, as a kid, he'd leave for work at 8, he'd get home around 7, he'd eat his dinner, and then he'd be back in his office more often than not, his office at home doing more work. And then he'd get to the weekend, and rather than chill out, he'd do DIY stuff or decorating, and then get to Monday and he's back on it. And as a dad now, as a grown up now, I'm like, are you mental? You get like, but I know what it's like though, because although I hate and refuse to do DIY because I just hate it, like I know once normality comes back, because of all the stuff I'm doing in the week with these other bits and pieces going on now outside of Forever Jackson, I'm then going to get to the weekend, and that's when the gigs are going to really kick in again. So I'm going to be like my dad, I'm going to be working 7 days a week. But
Mhm.
we all know when the day comes when we've got to call it a day or rein it in a bit, we're going to be bored,
Going to be
and we're
bored.
going to look and feel so much older as well. So
Yeah.
it's going to age
Yeah.
overnight.
Yeah. I don't know. Actually, don't know. I think I've slowed down. I'm busy now, but I do think I've slowed down from when I was
Yeah,
younger. I
Yeah.
mean, between 18 and like 24, probably, like when, Jackson was just kicking off. I mean, I was working a 9 till 5. I'd leave. I'd either work my lunch to leave a bit earlier, or I used all my holiday to leave a bit earlier. I'd go on the gig. As soon as I'd get back at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd be back up at 7 for work, and that would just. I did that for about
You did
three
it. Yeah,
years,
so long.
and I mean that was hard. I couldn't do that now.
well,
But
I'm
so that's
scared.
progression.
I'm scared for when gigs do come back in, because regularly, as we mentioned earlier, there's days when you don't go to bed. You just do the gig, you get home,
Yeah.
throw stuff into a suitcase, drive to the airport, fly out, do a show, shower at the after that show, get back to the airport, come home again and do another gig. You know, it can be that mental. I remember there
Yeah.
was a point in 2019, towards the end of 2019, where I did 3 shows in 3 different countries. Like, I did one in the UK in the southwest, drove home straight afterwards to a half-packed suitcase that I packed multiple days before because I was on a run of shows. This was like the October half term. Literally got home, threw everything into the suitcase, like showered and threw everything in the suitcase, drove to Gatwick where I met the band, flew out to Spain and did a show. And always, as always with Spain, literally showered, got back to the airport, flew straight to Ireland and met 2 of the girls to do a show that night. Showered, drove to the airport. I think I've got I think I had 6 hours sleep in 4 nights. And
Wow.
and I remember driving to the airport in Ireland, and this was a 2 hour drive to the airport. And as that 2 hours went on, my voice got slowly and slowly more deeper and gruffer, to the point where I got to the airport, went, thanks very much, mate. I'll see you later. It's just like, oh my God, what's happened to me? I'm dying. Like, I've just become a 57-year-old.
Yeah.
Have a good drive home. I'll see you.
It's a good voice.
Crazy. So let's take a little break from all of these questions and bits, and let's do something a little bit different. So, as we've done with all of the other interviews, we've done a bit of a quick fire questions. And just for anybody who's watching these for the first time, most of the questions that we've spoken about so far, although we've gone off on many a tangent already, because I
Sorry,
just knew that was always going to happen. Most of those questions I sent to Jen and Sinc prior, so that they could have a little think about what they wanted to talk about. But this is all fresh and brand new, because this is a quick fire round. Now, normally I'm doing this with just one person, but we've got two. So I think we'll alternate. So each question, you each take a turn to take an answer. So, so we'll. So these, you haven't seen any of these questions. Some of them you would have heard possibly with the previous interviews, but some of them I've tried to make it a little bit more realistic, or should I say, tailored to yourselves.
Okay.
So as always, we will do the length of a dance break. So let's get crack-a-lacking. Here we go then. We'll start with Jen, okay?
Okay.
Your time starts now. Jen, favourite MJ song?
Heartbreak Hotel.
Okay, Sinc, favourite non-MJ song?
NSYNC, bye bye bye.
Amazing. Jen, comedy or drama?
Comedy.
Sinc, relax or live it up?
Relax.
Jen, cats or dogs?
Cats.
Sinc, favourite food?
Cheese.
Sinc, burps or farts?
Burps.
Jen, what's your least favourite routine in the show?
In the closet.
Amazing. Sinc, if you had a time machine, would you travel forwards or backwards?
Back a little bit.
Backwards. Jen, who was your first celebrity crush?
Oh, maybe like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, good choice.
Oh, nice. Sinc, dinner or a movie?
Dinner.
Ah, now it's time.
Oh.
Well done, well done.
You
Excellent.
just mentioned I said Leonardo DiCaprio, and you went, "Oh, nice." Okay.
He was a dish.
He still is. Are still lovely. There's nothing wrong with a bit of Leo.
I think I prefer him in the later days, like for the films he'd done. Yeah, my sister was a big Leonardo DiCaprio fan and had posters up and stuff. And I just thought, like, right, because she had posters of him from like What's Eating Gilbert Grape, where do you remember? I think Johnny Depp might be in it, and he was quite young in that. And I remember looking at him going, I can't tell what age he is. I can't tell if he's 15 or 6. Like, it's a bit confused and thinking, no, weird. So I want to from the quickfire round. There were some questions like, because over the quickfire rounds, over the interviews we've done, some of them are a bit more specific. I realised later, obviously, and were really hard to ask. So I want to ask you some of these because I think they're funny. So
Okay.
Let's see. What's the most rubbish present you've ever given?
See, I thought you said had been given. So that I've given, I don't know, but other people might tell you
or
something.
even the most rubbish present you've received then.
I received a bubble bath once, which was already used because it was like only 3/4 full and the seal was broke. So they had re-gifted a gift, but they had used it first.
Not even re-gifted a gift that they'd used a bit and gone, well, that's a bit crap.
Yeah, it's a bit crap. I'll give that to Vic.
And
I don't know about giving a present. I think I've probably given some bad presents, but I'll have to let other people contact and tell you.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm a receiver, and they won't mind me saying. Corinne and Cheryl will know exactly what I'm going to say.
Oh.
For my birthday last year, if anybody doesn't know, I've got a real fear of fish faces.
Yes, you have.
So they brought me these slippers that they look like actual fish. They're not cartoons. Don't stop it. Stop it. I can hear the sound.
They always look like they're saying Bob.
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake. Anyway, they bought me these fish slippers. So the faces of the fish, it was an open mouth where you put your toes in.
Immense.
And they did it on purpose as a joke present, but yeah, that's got to be up there.
Yeah. I applaud you, ladies. Well done, Corinne, and well done, Cheryl. Excellent work.